On this day in 1990, John Collins signed for Celtic. The centenary season was a fast-fading memory just 2 years later, as Celtic once again failed to build from a position of strength and saw Rangers win the first two of what would be a run of 9 successive league championships. A Scottish Cup final win over Rangers in 1989 had salvaged something from a disappointing season, but the optimism over the imminent return of Maurice Johnston quickly turned into a hammer blow which took the club a long time to recover from. Celtic finished in 5th place in season 1989-90, winning only 10 of 36 matches, and were denied a third Scottish Cup win in succession by a penalty shootout defeat to Aberdeen. Serious investment was needed, and there was cautious optimism in the air when the signings of Martin Hayes and Charlie Nicholas were secured in early July. Hayes had enjoyed one outstanding season for Arsenal in 1986-87, finishing their top scorer with 26 goals, but had failed to replicate that form since. He quickly faded out of the picture at Celtic and made only 7 league appearances before joining Swansea City in 1993. Undoubtedly, the most exciting signing that summer was John Collins from Hibernian. Equally comfortable in the centre or on the left of midfield, the 22-year-old was the most sought-after young player in Scotland and already a full internationalist. The Daily Record reported on the 13th of July 1990. John Collins last night turned his back on the big guns of Europe and joined Celtic in a record £1 million deal. The 22-year-old Scotland international midfielder was out of contract at Hibs and has been touted around European clubs since the end of last season. But he finally chose to stay in Scotland and join the club he loves. He admitted, "I quite fancied going abroad, but really at the back of my mind, I wanted to join Celtic. This move has dragged on for too long, but I am now where I want to be." In those pre-Bosman days, even though Collins was out of contract and free to sign for anyone he chose, Hibernian were still entitled to a transfer fee that would have to be settled by a tribunal if the clubs could not agree. But later that summer, they agreed a fee of £900,000. Not quite £1 million, but still a new club record fee for Celtic. Billy McNeill was quoted in the Daily Record. "The thought of John playing alongside Paul McStay is already exciting me. With 2 class players in the midfield, it will help us dramatically." Despite an improved third-place finish in the league in season 1990-91, a wildly inconsistent Celtic were still miles off the pace, and Billy McNeill was dismissed in the summer of 1991. The class of Collins and Paul McStay was evident for all to see, and under Liam Brady they produced some fantastic football, none more so than in a 2-0 win at Ibrox on the 21st of March 1992, when Rangers were played off the park and could barely get a touch of the ball in the second half. But unfortunately, the obvious failings of the team were laid bare at Hampden 10 days later, when they crashed out of the Scottish Cup in a 1-0 defeat to Rangers, who played for 89 minutes with 10 men. Celtic's precipitous decline continued over the next couple of seasons, with the class of Collins and McStay merely keeping them above water, as Liam Brady resigned and was replaced by Lou Macari, whose short tenure proved to be a disastrous one. John Collins played for Celtic at the lowest ebb of the modern era, and won only a single Scottish Cup in 1995. He is probably best remembered for 2 superb free kicks at Ibrox in April and August of 1994. The first was the first direct free kick scored in a top-level match by a player wearing the newly developed and much vaunted Adidas Predator boots. It also practically silenced Ibrox, coming in the match where David Murray, as usual playing to the gallery, banned Celtic fans. It helped Celtic to an unexpected 1-1 draw, where they were unlucky to concede a late deflected equaliser. The second was almost a carbon copy of the first, and this time inspired Celtic to a 2-0 win, Paul McStay appropriately scoring the second in Tommy Burns' first visit to Ibrox as Celtic manager. In the summer of 1996, with his contract up, John Collins decided the time was now right to try his luck abroad and sign for Monaco on a Bosman deal, although Fergus McCann unsuccessfully tried through the courts to force Monaco to pay a transfer fee, as the Principality is not in the European Union. John Collins was one of the few shining lights in Celtic's darkest time in the 1990s, and maybe if he'd stayed another season, Tommy Burns could have stopped Rangers 9 in a row. Despite the presence of Van Hooijdonk, Tom, Cadet and Di Canio in 1996, the team would have been greatly improved with John Collins still in it.